Hey everyone, this is Nathan with Method Music Productions here. So today I'm going to be talking about a mixing technique on the drums that I use, and this is for Musixon, which is an awesome online community for people interested in recording and recording studios and all that kind of stuff. Um, so lately I've been working with a metal band. They're called The Order of Chaos, also based out of Edmonton here. I just finished mixing one of their tunes, so I thought I'd go over one of these techniques here with you. These drums, they're recorded at the audio department, which is an awesome sounding recording studio here in Edmonton. It's a great room, and they got lots of really cool gear to choose from. So first thing I'll do here is I'll take you through all the tracks that I have that are being sent out to my parallel compression track. So the first one I have here is my inside of my kick drum, which is an Audix D6 microphone. Then I have my kick out, which is right outside the skin there. It's a Lawson FET microphone. Then I got a kick sample, snare top, which is a Shure SM57, snare sample, and my 3 toms, which are all Sennheiser 421s. So I use a kick and snare sample for most of the metal stuff, just to help bring out a little bit extra punch in the mix of my drums. So all those tracks, they're being sent out through this stereo bus 1 and 2 here, and then it goes to my parallel compression track here, which is soloed. So the reason that I use a stereo bus is because I have my toms panned in the mix. So I want that same panning to show up in my parallel compression track. So I'll show you what this track sounds like here without, I disabled all my compression and stuff like that. So I'll show you what this sounds like here. So, it's just some pretty good sounding close mics. Nothing too crazy exciting or anything. So I'll show you what I do to make them a little more exciting. So first up here, I have this Smack compressor. I'll put it in right away here. So it's hitting the drums pretty hard. I have it at a 20-to-1 ratio, so a really high ratio. Which I like initially because it helps really bring out that attack of the close mics there. And it's hitting pretty hard. It's hitting peaking at maybe about minus 8 dB of gain reduction, so pretty good amount of compression going on there. Now, the biggest reason I like this compressor for this particular use is because you have really good control over the attack and release settings. I think this is really important for drums because they can really change the way that the compressor acts upon the drums, especially when you're compressing them really hard. Like if you use a really fast attack, then you're going to end up squashing the initial attack of the drum a little bit too much, right? It's not going to get that initial punch. You're just going to squash it, right? Whereas the opposite end of that, if your attack is set too slow, you're going to miss most of the hit entirely, right? The hits happen so quick that if the compressor's too slow, it's going to activate after the hit's already happened. So it's really nice to be able to tweak that. And then same thing with the release here. I think having control over the release setting is really important, especially because it can change song to song so much. Like the tempo and the spacing in between the hits can really change from song to song. So like a slower song, if you had more room in between hits, you might like the sound of a slower release setting a little bit better than a faster song with less space in between the hits. You might want your compressor to deactivate a little bit quicker, right? To have that release setting a little bit quicker. So that's that guy there. Then I use another compressor right after that. This one's a V compressor. Throw that guy on there. This one's based after a Neve stereo bus compressor. So this guy, I have also kind of a fast attack, and I have it on my auto release setting there. And this guy's set at a 4-to-1 ratio, so a much smaller ratio. And the reason I use both those together is because the 20-to-1 ratio it really brings out the initial attack and punch of the drums. And then the 4-to-1 ratio right after that, I find brings out a bunch of the body of the hit. So this one's hitting at a good like minus 10 dB gain reduction too. So both those together, they're really squashing the drums, which for the metal and the hard rock kind of stuff, I particularly really like that sound. So those are those two guys together. And then the last thing that I have on my parallel compression track is an EQ. A pretty drastic EQ. I just threw it on there. This particular one I'm using is a Pultec EQ. It's just a low and high end boost. I have the low end boost set at 60 hertz, and it's boosted by a lot, just to really bring out that nice beefy low end from the kick drum and the toms, right? And then the high end is set at 16K, so it's the opposite end there, the really, really high end attack of all the close mics. So I have those boosted quite a bit, which I just really like that because it brings out those particular frequencies in the ultra compressed sounds, right? So now what I'll do is I'll show you just the rest, like just all the microphones that I have without the parallel compression track here. I'll show you what that sounds like. So it's still pretty good, like the kick and snare, they're still pretty up front, right? They sound good, but as soon as I add in this parallel compression track, you'll really hear the punch come out. So I just added it in there. So that added in, I find it really just brings the kick and snare right to the front. It brings out a lot of the extra body from the close mics. I'll bring it down for you. You can kind of hear it disappear there. Bring it back up. So you can really hear what it does to the body of the kick and snare particularly, and it keeps it just right in the mix, right where you put it. Since those tracks are compressed so much, it just, wherever you kind of, the volume that you set your track there, it sticks the close mics right there in the mix. So yeah, that's kind of how I go about using my parallel compression track. In this case, for the metal stuff, you know, I might compress them a little harder for the metal stuff than I would in a country or pop track or something like that. But I definitely use the same, I set up the track the same way, and I kind of go through the same steps, regardless of the genre that I'm mixing, right? Just anything where I want some good punchy drums. So that's how I use that parallel compression track. So yeah, hopefully you guys can use that technique. Some of those tips help you out in your own mixes. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon.